Welcome back, guys. I got another banger video for you today. What I'm going to be doing is breaking down the analysis component of running a meta ad campaign, because I think what really separates people when it comes to running ads on Meta is having a clear understanding of where you need to be from an ad budget perspective to really, really scale your ads. Now, a lot of people, when they run ads on Meta, they're running at a really, really low cost per day. And when I mean a low cost per day, I mean like honestly anything under like $500 a day, which sounds like a lot, but really what Meta is looking for is Meta is looking for about 50 conversions per week to get a clear understanding as to who our target audience is. Meta, when it comes to running ads, is kind of has like a ballpark when it comes to its algorithm. It does a pretty decent job of getting to people, but it needs to be fed to get pinpoint accurate understanding as to what we're looking to accomplish. And ad spend really allows us to accomplish that. And that 50 conversions per week is really that baseline that Meta talks about needing to have to really feed the algorithm. So what do I mean by that? 50 conversions. What does that mean? That's kind of, it's not very clear. If you're running a Facebook campaign where you want people to book an appointment with you or fill out a form or sign up for a webinar, once you have around 50 of those conversions per week, you're sending enough information back to the Facebook pixel for it to have a clearer understanding as to who is seeing your ads, and then going to click on that next action of filling out the form, signing up for the webinar, all those sorts of things. If you can achieve 50 conversions per week, which for a lot of people is going to be really, really tough, that's where the ad spend thing comes into play. It's going to be really, really hard to actually train the pixel. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't be successful with a meta campaign. It just means that if you don't have a big budget to run on ads, you have to be really surgical and precise with what's going on with your meta ads. So with that said, in this video, I'm going to break down how to actually read the meta campaigns as much as you possibly can, and how all of these things are kind of working in the back end. So you can get a better analysis as to whether or not your ad campaigns are actually working or if they're really terrible. Because you might look like on paper that they're not doing anything, but in reality, they're actually doing something in the back end, and we just need to understand how to help it out. So it's really important to understand, if you cannot get 50 conversions per week for the thing that you're looking to accomplish, we need to be really surgical with our ad spend. Now, before I actually jump into crunching these numbers and understanding these things, I need to introduce you to audience types. There's broad, interest, and lookalike audience types. Now, we are running off of the assumption that when you launch a meta campaign, you are doing so with the ads manager, the meta ads manager. If you are boosting a post, this is not applicable to this. I would also say don't do that. You're just throwing money into the wind. You really need to go to meta ads manager to get the most out of your ad campaign. So that's number one, step number one. You have to run ads out of meta ads manager to actually generate results. So let's circle back to these audience types. What is broad? As the name kind of implies, this is a broad target. You're basically just saying to Meta, hey, we're running ads. This is our creative. Get this in front of as many people as possible. Use the algorithm to find those people that we're looking for and get them to commit to an action. So in this scenario, let's be a little bit more specific, right? Let's say we're running a webinar, because I think a webinar for a lot of travel advisors is going to be one of the best mechanisms for lead generation if you're running ads on Meta, okay? So in this scenario, we are running ads to get people to go to a web funnel where they sign up for a webinar, and then they join our webinar and we convert them into leads, or sorry, into clients. All right, so with a broad audience type, you have an ad creative. Let's say you're promoting a trip to Tanzania. And in your creative, you're saying something like, have you ever wanted to go to Tanzania? Join our webinar today to learn more about what it looks like to go to Tanzania, something like that. And people see that creative and they click, they sign up on your web funnel for the webinar. That then sends information back to Meta that, hey, this person went from the Meta platform to your web funnel and signed up for a webinar. That's a conversion. So for broad targeting, for it to really, really do well, you need a lot of data of more people signing up for your webinar. Again, about 50 per week for that to actually occur. Now, to give you a little bit more context, a really solid webinar is converting at about $5 to $10 a day. I mean, a really, really good webinar with really good creative is converting around that price point. I would say the average is converting around $25 a day. So, sorry, $25 per registration. So you can do the math, right? If we need 50 a week and it's costing us, let's say on the upper band of $25 to $30, that's a lot of ad spend to get to that 50 per week, right? So we can see those are our reverse engineering metrics. If we want to run a broad audience, we can tap into every single user on Meta that is going to actually see that ad and take action. It's really cool. What's really cool about Meta, and also scary, is that there's a few thousand different data attribution points that Meta has on each and every single Meta user. And that's Facebook, Instagram, across both platforms, and Threads, and I think even WhatsApp. So Meta can do a really good job of finding the right people, but it needs help. It needs information. It needs data. And the only way we're going to be able to give that data is by spending money. But then you have interest targeting. That's essentially where we go to Meta and we say, hey, I'm going to help you out a little bit more. I'm going to tell you that these are people who have a high income. They have an interest in Tanzania. They are frequent travelers. And maybe they're, I don't know, they follow, let me think of a good one. I don't know. They follow Abercrombie and Kent on Facebook. This will create an audience size. So if you're broad, that's going to be all of the users of Meta within that particular region. Most of you are probably going to run it on the United States. If you do interest targeting, you're immediately making your audience size much smaller to a point where it's only those people who have that interest type. So it could go from, let's say, 365 million to maybe 12 million people, which is still an insane amount of people. This will help you get Meta's algorithm a little bit more dialed, but it's still too broad. One thing about Meta's algorithm, how it works, is that there's a ton of different event types. There's purchase, there's add to cart, there's schedule, there's registration, there's lead, all of these certain things. And we can tell Facebook what we classify as each one of those events. Like if someone comes to our website, it's called a page view event. And we're able to send that information back to Meta. And we can say, hey, here are all the people who have visited our site. If we want to get more in front of people who visit our site, we can tell Facebook, hey, we just want to get in front of people who have committed to this event, this page view event. But if we want more webinar registrations, we have to have people who are taking the initiative to actually register for webinars. So the way that Facebook works is it actually has those metrics. It knows whether an individual has a tendency to sign up or register for an event, a webinar, a local event, whatever it might be. And it will run those ads to those people, but it will also look at people who like never sign up for anything, or maybe they click on an ad and do a page view of your web funnel, but they never take any action. There's so many different data points that Facebook is trying to utilize to get in front of your target audience. Okay. Now that leads us to lookalike audiences. So what's cool about lookalike audiences is this gives us the capability to run to a very specific audience type based off of data that we've already collected, in-house data. So let's say you run ads for over a year and you've gotten 1,000 webinar registrations. You can then take that audience. You can say, here's my list of 1,000 people. They've all signed up for my webinar. Here's their names, here's their email, all that stuff. And you give it to Facebook and you say, we want to look at this audience and we want to get people who are just like this. We develop a lookalike audience. Now, instead of 12 million people based off of that interest target, now we have maybe 1 million people based off of our custom audience. And Facebook has even more clarity as to who is looking at your webinar and signing up for that webinar. Now, this is under the assumption that it's still a Tanzania webinar and you're looking for booked registrations. All right. It's very granular. Your cost per lead is going to go much lower, and it'll do a much better job at getting in front of your target audience and doing those conversions. But it's a much smaller audience size. So eventually you could burn through that. The smaller your audience size, the faster you're going to burn through that audience size. And you have to come up with different offers and different angles and different creatives. So broad, you have 365 million people. You can run an ad and keep running that ad as long as it's producing the results that you're looking for. And you can run that ad until you exhaust that entire 365 million people. And I'll give you a little peek behind the curtain as to how much ad spend that I've done and how many people I've gotten in front of, to give you a little bit more context as to how long it would take to go through every single person on Meta before you would say, all right, I need to change my creative. The same thing is going to happen with your interest and then your lookalike. The smaller your audience, the faster you're going to, quote unquote, burn through your creative. Okay, so that's the context behind the meta ad stuff, right? It's really important to understand the back end of these sorts of things when it comes to meta, because now that we have that sort of picture, we can develop creative and a game plan to get in front of more people. You're eventually, once you find something that works, going to want to spend money on broad targeting because it increases your audience size. And Facebook is going to take all the data that it's learned through its pixel, your personal pixel, to get in front of more people that are doing that action, that webinar registration action that we want. All right. If this sounds really advanced, it's because this is really advanced. This is why people who know this stuff and do really well can be very, 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 very successful. Because here's the thing about running ads. Meta is just one platform. There's hundreds of different ways to produce leads. This is just one. If you have the capability of getting your message in front of your target audience, they will get the thing. They will buy the thing. They will do the thing that you want them to do. They will sign the registration for the webinar. They will book an appointment with you. They will buy your item. It's just a question of whether or not we can get in front of our audience with the right offer that resonates with them and their pain point. That's why for a lot of marketing, everything kind of starts with your offer. Do you have this? Are you this person? Do you have this pain point? Well, we have this solution. It's that simple, but it's very difficult in execution because wording matters. Copy matters. Your ad campaign lives and dies by the power of your hook and your offer. So these things are super crucial. Okay. With all of that said, let's actually break down an existing ad campaign that I'm running for the Travel Agents Academy to get more students enrolled into our academy. Now, because this is a brand new pixel, a bunch of brand new data sets, we are testing a lot of different things to find the thing that works the best. I'm going to try and make this video a little bit shorter and not make this a 2-hour long video because it can very easily get to that point. But with that said, let's actually go to the ad campaign. You're going to lose my face because I can't, for some reason, with Meta, show my face when I screen share. All right, so let's actually go to my ad account for the Travel Agents Academy. You can see here that we've been running these ads since, I don't even know, maybe like a month now. We've tried a ton of different campaigns that we've had variations and variations and variations and variations of. All right, so let's actually get into an existing campaign that we're running right now. I'm going to reverse engineer these numbers and kind of give you a little bit more clarity as to what the thought process is. Okay, so this is our current campaign. Really what we're looking to do is for people to buy a low ticket item where we're teaching them a little, like a one thing about sales, one thing about marketing. Those are our two offers. We're looking for people to buy those things to offset the cost of the advertising. So that way we can more cheaply get in front of our target audience and create a custom audience and then do retargeting. I know this doesn't make any sense yet. I'm going to break all of this stuff down. Okay. So as you can see here, we're averaging a $41 cost per purchase, and we spent about $123. I'm not really happy with this. I want this to be probably around $5 to $10 cost per purchase. So we have to dial this in to get in front of the right target audience. So as a campaign, this is our overview. This is our campaign right here. And we have 3 different ad sets, or we did have 3 different ad sets. Let me go to a past one. So we had 3 different ad sets. We had interest target, lookalike audience, and broad set audience. Now, Facebook, what it's going to be doing with its algorithm is if you do not have enough data attribution points, it's going to look at things like CTR and engagement rate. CTR is a click-through rate. And if I scroll over here to the right, we can see our click-through rate right here. We have a 2.62, 3, and a 1.29. A really average CTR is about 2%. A really great CTR is 3% or higher. I would say actually anywhere from 2 to 3% is a pretty good CTR and gives us a good base set. But inside each one of these ad sets are ad creatives, which are going to skew the total CTR. Now, let me jump deeply into the broad set and kind of give you a little bit more information as to how that's performing from an ad set level, like the ad creative level. So I'm jumping in here more, and I can see that our CTRs are completely different. The one creative that's actually generated, I believe this is one that's actually generated a purchase. Now let me do this. So we've gotten 2 purchases with this particular creative with $50 spent, and we've gotten in front of 1,000 people with this ad, with this one ad creative. And our cost per click was about $2.91. This means someone saw our ad, they clicked it, and it went to our site. So we were paying $2.91 to look at our ad, click it, and then come to our site. But our CTR was actually really, really low, 1.25%, which is below average when it comes to engagement metrics for a creative. Alternatively, if I come back here to, let's say, interest targeting, which again, we are honing in more as to who our target audience is. We're basically telling Facebook we want to get in front of travel agents. If I come here, I can see automatically my CTR is a lot higher. Now, if you do not have a lot of data going back to Facebook for your event that you want to track, in our case, it's a purchase event. If we do not have over 50 of these events happening every week, the data, the pixel is actually going to be sort of starving for data. So it's going to look at the next best thing. It's going to look at sub events that might occur through that process. These are page view events. These could be if you have a registration form that they need to fill before they can actually buy a thing, they might be looking at that event as well. The more common one is going to be a page view event because that is included in your pixel. Anytime you add a pixel to your site, it's going to automatically include that page view event. So if you do not have those 50 per week conversions for your thing that you want to occur in our event, a purchase, Facebook is then going to look at page view event. This is also going to skew your data because if we're not getting enough of our purchase events, Facebook will then look at our page view events and it will promote the broad set a lot more because Facebook does a really good job of generating traffic to your website, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that traffic is interested in the thing that you're selling and looking to actually take that action of purchase, or in the webinar situation, sign up for a webinar because it's a different data set. They have a higher likelihood of viewing a website as opposed to taking that next action. So when Facebook doesn't have enough data, it goes to that next thing, which is a page view event. And that's going to skew our pixel and the data that we're sending back to Facebook because it's going to see all of these page view events and think, oh, hey, we're doing the thing that the client wants us to do. We're getting in front of a target audience who is going and viewing the web funnel. So it's going to keep on hammering and hammering and hammering those people who are more likely to do a page view event. So if we're running a really low ad spend, you're more than likely not going to want to have a page view event. I highly recommend turning it off just to test things. And things move really quickly with advertising, especially on Meta. So this could change. But as of right now, in November 2025, I would recommend just turning off page view. The next thing that's going to happen, the next sort of engagement metric, is whether or not people are going to look at the ad creative. It's going to look at your CTR, it's going to look at your clicks, and it's going to find creative where people are engaging with it more, which is totally fine because you do want Facebook to find an ad creative that is more engaging for people because then that's going to ultimately result in a lower cost per lead when it comes to the ultimate event that you want to occur. This is why if you run a Facebook event and you're just doing like a lead form or a messenger lead event, you're going to have much more quote unquote leads because the barrier to entry is much smaller and Facebook can track all of that stuff within it. You can have someone who accidentally fills out a form or accidentally messages you, and that's qualified as a lead, and you can dirty the pixel more and more. So when we structure a meta campaign like this, it has a lot more I guess, of a learning phase, but you're cleaning the pixel a lot better and you're giving it really clean, accurate data as opposed to dirtying it with leads that you wouldn't say are leads. They're just junk leads or they accidentally, signed up for the thing or whatever it might be. Hopefully that helps. I understand that this is a lot of information and this is sort of drinking from a fire hose, but for the one person that this is going to be helpful for, I think that's really powerful. I do want to take a second here to say that if this is you where you're feeling really overwhelmed with this and you don't know what to do, I would encourage you to look at the Travel Agents Academy. Come join us at our academy. I actually go through situations like this live with your account and actually give you clear advice as to what you need to do next so there's no confusion. And if you're unhappy with, our systems or our program, we'll give you your money back. We have a 30-day guarantee where there's no questions asked. Okay. So hopefully that'll be interesting to you. Now, with that said, coming back to this sort of lesson, as you can see here, we have interest targeting and we have lookalike audience. Our click-through rate is actually much higher than our in our lookalike past audience than our interest targeting. And I should say this, I forgot to mention that our lookalike audience is actually comprised of data points from me running ads for a year under Apex Creatives, which is my marketing agency, where I helped travel agents grow their business for like the last 2-3 years. I was running that agency for that particular offer. Apex is still around. We just do something entirely different. So I had all of these incredible data points of travel agents who were actively looking for help for their business. So this is a clear indication that data is still really relevant. We're getting less clicks because our population is much smaller, and Facebook is actually pushing more of the ad spend into different ad sets. You can see here, $140 went to interest targeting, $72 went to broad set, and $28 went to our lookalike audience. Now, you're probably asking, why is Facebook allocating less ad spend to the ad set that's doing the best? It simply goes back to not having enough data going back to the pixel for Facebook to completely understand. So this is where we have to be surgical with it. We can see that our cost per lead for our broad set is way too high. And even at this point, our cost per lead for interest targeting based off of our lookalike audience is too high as well. So I can turn this off and just focus the ad set and the ad creatives on our lookalike audience because that's doing the best right now. Okay, so let me circle back to our fundamentals behind the Travel Agents Academy. What are we looking to actually accomplish with our marketing in the Facebook campaign? Like I said, we are looking for people to take some sort of action that shows us that they're interested in growing their agency. So we're asking them to purchase something that we know is going to help their agency. And this helps us get in front of more people who are willing to spend money to help grow their agency. They can see the value of investing inside the academy. So this is a great low ticket way to sort of separate people who are not really truly interested in growing their agency with people who are definitely interested in growing their agency. So let me go to our current campaign and kind of break down what we've seen in the last few days and what our next steps are going forward with this campaign. So as I mentioned, we actually turned off the broad set match, and we've only been focusing on interest targeting and lookalike audiences. We wanted to replicate what was happening the previous week and see if that same situation would occur. And we could see that yet again, our lookalike audience has performed significantly better than our interest-based audience. So now we've turned off the interest-based targeting and we're only focusing on our lookalike audience. And I had mentioned that we have two offers for these audiences. One is a sales-focused offer and another is a marketing offer. throughout these 2 campaigns, we've only been focused on a sales offer. So now our next step is to test the 2 offers. Which one is more uh, uh, important to our target audience? Is it helping with sales or is it helping with marketing? Once we have that understanding, we can actually pour more ad spend into an offer that works better versus the other. Because ultimately, what we're doing is we're getting people who are taking an event, a purchase event, and showing to us that they are interested in the thing that we are offering in some capacity. They are underneath the umbrella of looking to improve their agency, and they're willing to spend money to do it, even if it's a low ticket of, I think it's $18 for our marketing offer. And then for the sales one, it's something like $27, just enough for us to see, okay, hey, these people are financially motivated and investing in their business. Okay, so we have a lookalike audience of past travel agents that has helped us create, I think, an audience size of about 2 to 3 million people that we can run an offer to generate interest in our product, the Travel Agents Academy. We've now gotten our cost per result average to around $16 for just the sales offer. Our next step is actually to A/B split the offer and test how a marketing offer would do versus a sales offer. Once we have more data on this, our next step is to create a different audience to target specifically with our Travel Agents Academy offer. Once we have 100 people who have purchased the, I'll say, our low ticket offers, we can then create a custom audience of just those individuals and hammer those folks as well. Or what we can do is we can create a retargeting campaign to look at the people who have engaged with our ads and re-hit them with different angles, different messages. Maybe it's more information focused. Maybe it's more of a different offer. It can be so many different things that we can retarget with. So let me show you what that looks like real quick. So if I move this to video engagement, this tells me how many people we've reached. So about 1,200 people. And let me do this. We have 3-second plays. So out of 1,200 people, about maybe about 10% have stopped the ad and watched the first 3 seconds. So that's a pretty high CTR. That's going to be probably, it's about a 10% CTR. So what this does is this also creates an audience of people who have engaged with our content. They have found our 3 seconds, our offer, interesting. They just need maybe rehit. Maybe they need that 7 hours of engagement, that 7 hours engagement rule. And with that metric, we can actually do a lot more with our advertising. So hopefully this helps. I wanted to break all of this down. Again, I realize that this is very data intensive, but the reality of the situation for running ads, for doing marketing, is that data is a crucial aspect to marketing. So if you feel overwhelmed with those sorts of things, I really encourage you to reach out to us at the Academy. We'd love to have you. We'd love to help you out. And hopefully we'll talk soon. If you want to learn more and kind of follow along, we're going to be creating more content like this as time goes on. So give us a like, give us a subscription, share us if you think this could help one of your friends or your colleagues. I appreciate it. And we'll see you soon.